Welcome to the Modern Midlife Podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Kobike. As a midlife coach, I help women identify and rewrite the self-limiting stories they've been telling themselves for years. Stories that have held them back and kept them from thriving in life. You can find me at my coach's website, midliferewritten.com. Today, I have the pleasure of sharing with you my conversation with Robin LaMonte. Robin is an award-winning interior designer in the Atlanta, Georgia area. She and I met back in January at her Influencers of Midlife Summit. In addition to organizing her summit, Robin is also a fashion blogger, and you can find her at her blog, Hello, I'm 50-ish. We've got a great conversation in store for you, so let's get started. Hello, I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach and founder of the coaching program Midlife Rewritten. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Robin LaMonte. She is an award-winning interior designer in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And in addition, she is a lifestyle and fashion blogger at Hello, I'm 50-ish. And if that's not enough, she is the founder of the Influencers of Midlife Conference, which took place just this last January. And that's actually where I met Robin. So it was really a great experience to have a conference that was really focused on the needs of midlife women and what they were doing. And so I was really excited to be there. So welcome, Robin.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be with you again after it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks. So one of the things that I've been working on is research into the kinds of things midlife women are facing right now. And I was interested in what the biggest surprise was for you when you became a woman in midlife.
Well, I think it was the lack of knowledge that I felt that when, and I'll be honest about it, is menopause, is that I didn't know, we didn't discuss it when you're golfing. It's not the thing that you bring up, but I was shocked at the body transformation. So I started doing a lot of research. And that was now the reason I started blogging, was to write and connect with other women, because I really don't think we talk about ourselves as we go through these changes. I am more about health and wellness. I know there are some women who have gone through divorces at midlife, but that's not me. I'm still married. But for me as a woman of midlife, it was the whole transformation of the body, how estrogen protected us. And I wrote about how estrogen protected our hearts, how our blood pressure goes up. So it was more of a health issue and a concern of mine. And I started doing all this research, and I was just amazed at how much estrogen protects us. Even, also causes an increase in breast cancer, but so does heart disease and breast cancer as we get older. So it was mostly a health thing that I was surprised at midlife.
I see. And so what are the other types of midlife myths that you've come across and have wanted to debunk for all those women out there who are still working their way through it?
I think it's, you can keep moving forward in a new direction, take a different path. If you want to just retire and sit home and just chill, that's fine, but I'm not one of those people. So as a designer, I started at 45, my interior design business. I went back to school and finished my degree. Uh-huh. At 59, I started my blog. And then at 62, I had a conference. So anything is possible, and the reality is you can be whoever you want to be at any age. And, age does not define us. Yeah. And I think a lot of people that I'm finding now is that we just keep going, okay, maybe I want to do a decathlon. Maybe I want to take up being an artist. Mm-hmm. Just because we're over 50, our life doesn't stop. We're still reinventing. And that's what I like about the hashtag, reinventing midlife. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah, it's really a whole new ball game. I mean, it's certainly not your mother's midlife, as I like to say, because there's so many new ideas and new perceptions, and that opportunity to reinvent yourself is pretty amazing.
Right. And like for travel, if you travel a lot, write about it. So there are things that we can do after midlife that in our daily, maybe I could write a book about golf over 50, It's like, you can do whatever you want. That's just it. It's free. And plus, yes, we are the generation that's stuck between taking care of our parents and taking care of the millennials.
Yeah.
They'll need to find time for you. And I think that's the one thing that as a woman of midlife, we keep forgetting there's still time for you. And that's why I wrote a blog. And my whole thing is, this is something I'm doing for me. And I think more women need to just say, I'm doing this for me. Find your passion after 50.
Yeah, to give themselves permission. I think we spend those early years of our lives doing all the things we're supposed to do. And we, get an education, we get married, we have children, we work, we do all the things that society tells us a good, strong woman is supposed to do. And that's great, but that's not all there is. And when you get to that midlife space where you have some time and maybe a few more resources, you can stop and look and say, gee, what do I really want? Can I get myself on the priority list for a change?
Well, yes and no. I still think that we're still the caretakers, that we are, but now we set priorities. Now we have a voice that, if your husband kind of marched you around as the wife, it's like, no. Yeah. My husband's looking at me like, don't you want to retire? I'm like, what? I said, this is what retirement looks like for me.
Yeah, that's great. Well, when you think back over, those maybe the last 20 years and working your way into midlife, what are some of the things that you struggled with most?
I think for me, the perception as an interior designer, going back to school at 45, and becoming a very quickly to the top of the game, thinking that was an age discrimination, that you be a good designer, because he's in the magazine saying the best top 20 under 40. And it's like, no, your best designers are over 40 because it's years of experience. And you do look at your competition and they're all millennials. That's probably the reality at 62 for me. Is I still have clients, but they're getting older. They're more affluent than the X generation that's in their 40s. And eventually I won't be an interior designer, but I don't want to quit. So my perception is I started late in life as an interior designer, or midlife. I started at 45 and now I'm at 62. Do I see another 10 years? Well, it would be nice, but I don't have to. That's how I look at it, is that I have a lifestyle that I don't have to do anything except play golf. But I want to do something for me. And so I think this is now the segue from interior design. I still am, a designer that does show houses, but, now I am an influencer in trying to connect with women over midlife. And I think it's just as huge.
Yeah, I agree. I think, a lot of women are at, different levels of resources and different levels of support when they're in midlife. And so I think, one of the things that we probably all struggle with the most is that sense of getting over the fears that have held you back in the past. When you're coming up through the ranks, you worry about what everybody says to you, how they think about you, whether you are dressed appropriately for your career, all those kinds of things. And I think when you get to midlife, it's a time of reevaluating all those rules that you've lived by and learning to find the courage inside of you from the experiences that you have and from your desire to do something different in your life.
Yeah, and I think that's a challenge for anybody when you get to a point women who see their faces falling. You have a choice. You can wear your wrinkles or you fix them. And that's a choice. And we shouldn't, shame other women because I wear my wrinkles. But see, these choices, and you have to be proud of the choice. And by now at 50, or for me, 62, I'm old enough to know better. I know my voice. And I think that's just years of experience. So as we get older, yeah, I may not like the fact that my body's not skinny and six-pack abs. I've got a muffin top. That's okay. You just have to accept. Acceptance, I think, is a really big thing, even at midlife, that accept who you are or you change it. And it's okay. And you shouldn't be body shamed if, you're into plastic surgery. An option for those who want it, and it makes them feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, there are certainly, those women who kind of chase their youth using plastic surgery and other kinds of procedures. But there are many women who make that choice not because they want to be younger, but because they want to feel better about themselves and they want to enjoy the time going forward. So, I'd like to circle back around to that time when you decided to go to school at 45. What was that like for you? And
Awful. I felt my instructors were younger than me, and when they gave me a C, I thought, how dare you? I'll squish you like a bug. Well, what was sad is that you have that mindset. It's really hard being around young people and you're sitting there. But then they also looked at you because I had gone back to school to validate the fact that if you're going to pay me money, I better know what I'm doing.
Right.
But there are people who aren't, they're self-taught decorators, and I compete with that. I have to go back to school. I could have been a self-taught decorator. I could have been a decorette and charging people money. I just thought the value of having that education, when I charged you, you trusted that I knew what I was doing and not guessing at it. So it was hard being around young people. It was hard because in college, I was an A student. Well, now at 45, I'm like going, and so when I get a C in drafting or CAD, I'm like going, I'll just hire somebody.
I know how to solve this.
I'll fix it.
Did you find that, at least in the beginning, you were a little on the defensive at being an older student?
No, I wanted to hide. I wanted to be invisible, but you can't hide your age when you walk into a room. But I dressed the best. They didn't know why I was there. They thought I was an advisor, like spying. And it was like, no, I'm a student. But I think it also, and this is where, when you're in with youth and you're in there doing the same thing, it gives them hope that at 45, they can reinvent themselves, and to walk into a room not feeling confident, but also saying, hey, I'm a mom of 4, but I want to do this. That gives the younger generation hope. That's why they see us at 60 doing what we're doing. Like, wow, this is really cool what you're doing.
Right.
So I think even though I felt insecure and old, it also showed my little 20-year-olds, gee, she's got it going at 45.
That's right. She's got a lot of spunk, and there's a lot to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah. And so did you find, I suppose, most midlife women going back into those circumstances might feel that she didn't have a lot in common to talk about with younger students, but I'm guessing that as you continue through the classes, you found that fell away, and it was like you were, there wasn't an age difference.
It wasn't. They didn't look at me, but I immediately was doing show houses. Don't ask me why, but up on Good Morning America for another strange little reason. But so I became like the person that hired these others, So it was like, when I graduated, I knew exactly where I was going. I was like the Pied Piper. All these little students that graduated became my junior designers. So it gave them hope, but it also, for me, just doing something that's outside your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to realize that I was doing it at 2002. In 2007, a lot of people were getting laid off. We had a recession that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
A lot of adults were going back to school to learn a new trade.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at the beginning of something that's very common, I think, now, that people get, they hit senior management and then they get fired, or whatever reason, they're laying off the senior executives or the senior people,
Mm-hmm.
because the younger people are hired at a cheaper rate. So
Yeah.
now people are going back to school. So I think it's common now that people at midlife, some people still have to work. And if they're laid off, they've got to find another career or an occupation. They have to go back to school. So even though I was an older student, I was embraced for being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
That the students looked up to me, even though I was just their peer. But I'm saying no, but we weren't competitive. And I think going back to school gave, confidence for me that I could go out there
Mm-hmm.
and be the designer that I became.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of people are going back to school after midlife.
Yeah, I think that's true. More and more people are realizing that, at that midlife space, they have 20, 30 years more to go. It's like a whole new career.
That's
And
right.
going back to school makes a lot of sense at that time. So when you think about what kind of advice you'd like to give to women who are kind of just entering that midlife space, what kind of things would you want to tell them?
I think that most women need to understand who they are. If you don't have that positive, like I wrote about, is your cup half full or your cup half empty?
Mm-hmm.
If your cup is half empty, you need to go find women or people and surround yourself with the, cup full mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, at 50 or whatever age you are in midlife, start questioning who you are, somebody's making you feel that way. So you need to start eliminating all the negative things in your life, whether your friends telling you shouldn't, like I have friends that tell me, what are you doing as a blogger? And it's like, I just look at them like, you don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. And you have to surround yourself and you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, find people who do, find your tribe. I really do think that midlife is now you find your tribe, that you don't hang out with the women who put you down. You don't hang out with, you learn to say no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not going to do this. And by then you should have your voice. And that to me is the big thing about midlife is I know who I am. I'm okay with the changes that have happened to me. I'm fine with that. But there are people who aren't. And you just need to inspire them, lift them up, or eliminate the negatives, and I think that's the big thing is we've earned it. Like the club close mentality,
Mm-hmm.
we make new friends. We like our friends. And our club is closed to those that are just kind of like not our tribe.
Yeah.
So I think we've earned that to say no.
Yeah.
I don't want you.
Well, learning to set boundaries, I think that's one of the things that women struggle with all along the way, because we are nurturers and we are people that love to help. And so when we see someone that needs help, we want to reach out, and you can't do that.
You can't fix the world. Yeah.
No, if you're expending all of your energy and you're not, bringing anything back to replenish yourself. And so you do have to learn to set that boundary and say, no, this is my priority. This is what I'm focused on. And that also extends to the people in your life.
Mm-hmm.
There are some friends that you accumulate along the way, and you realize that they're not really traveling the same path you are.
That's right.
And so you have to make a choice, right? But
Yeah.
it's hard. But in the end,
smaller.
smaller but better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, minimal. Less is more.
Yeah. And having that tribe that knows you and understands you and it wants to support you in your endeavors, it makes all the difference in the world
Right.
between keeping, forging ahead and deciding to give up. So,
Right. No, and I think for women who just keep searching and searching and searching, they're not listening to themselves. They're trying to fix from the outside and not fix the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard with all the noise that there is in the world today, things that clamor for your attention, it's really difficult to find that time to just sit in silence with yourself. I think it's kind of scary for a lot of people because they don't know what that's going to mean. They don't know what's going to happen.
I think that's why it scares men in retirement. Now what?
Yeah.
Whereas I think as women, we kind of go, oh, I think I'll do something else. But men, I think it just throws them for a loop. I think they go through a midlife crisis. I truly think they're just thrown for a loop because they're no longer the powerful man that came home with an income.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for men, I think it's different. I think we've always, like, as you said, been nurturers. Well, we nurture ourselves eventually. Or if you don't nurture, you're too busy taking care of everyone else and you get tired.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't keep going at that level if you don't replenish your own energy. So as you look forward to, what the next 5, 10, 15 years will bring, what are you most excited about?
Well, as long as my health, knock on wood, knock on marble, if it stays well, I plan on doing what I'm doing. And that's, like I was saying to another blogger, I wish I had done the influencers at 50 and not 62. Mm-hmm. So to me, connecting with women of midlife, this has been so much fun. This journey that I'm on with you is so much fun. Mm-hmm. And I wish we had started it 10 years ago, but hopefully we're doing it in 10 years. I'm thinking that a lot of the social media stuff will go away. Mm-hmm. There's still that platform of connecting with women, whether it's local or it's on a national level, that we go around and talk about the important things that is, consuming us as a woman over midlife. Mm-hmm. And, being the multi-caretaker to the parents, our children, we're in the middle. Mm-hmm. What do we do for travel? Are you set up for travel? Can you travel? Are you taking care of somebody and you can't travel? There is so many things that go on in our lives at midlife that I just love, like what you're doing and writing about it, is talking about women of different backgrounds, different interests, that we all have different journeys, but we're all midlifers. So we're connected that way.
Yep. Yeah, it's really interesting. When I was at the conference, all the women were so friendly and so easy to get along with. I just assumed that many of them knew each other, but it turned out that they had never met in real life. So, the IRL. And I'm like, what does that mean exactly? Oh, in real life. Okay. Because, you develop these relationships online and it's great, but nothing beats being able to reach out and give somebody a hug and just sit next to them and
well, it's a large support group. We're just starting.
Yeah, I think it's really great. Well, Robin, I want to thank you very much for your time and for the tips and bits of wisdom that you've shared with us here, because I know that our listeners are going to find value in that. So I wish you all kinds of excitement for your new conference coming up next year.
Yeah, and I expect to see you there.
Oh, I will definitely be there, my dear.
Oh, wonderful.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much for being with me. All right, Robin, bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my glorious second act workbook and planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to develop a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below. So click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.